1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome to Crazy Chester. Welcome to Crazy Chester. Crazy Chester's Radio Hour. Welcome to Crazy Chester. Welcome to Crazy Chester. Crazy Chester's Radio Hour. Yeah, Crazy Chester's Radio Hour. Crazy Chester's Radio Hour.
Welcome to the Crazy Chester Radio Hour. My name is Andreas Werner. I'm a record producer, songwriter, and owner of Crazy Chester Records. The theme song you just heard is performed by Wet Willie's Jimmy Hall and Funky Chester. The Crazy Chester Radio Hour is a weekly music talk podcast featuring an eclectic group of guests with musical hearts, minds, and souls. And many of the episodes will dive deep into the rich history of music mecca Muscle Shoals. My guest today is Josh Hoyer. Josh is an artist, musician, and songwriter from Lincoln, Nebraska. His band, Josh Hoyer Soul Colossal, are one of the most exciting live bands out there, with a sound combining soul, funk, and rhythm and blues. They've released 5 albums and have performed all over the US as well as Europe. Make sure to catch one of their high-energy live shows when they're visiting a town near you. Josh, welcome to the Crazy Chester Radio Hour. Thank you so much for being my guest. Today, you're going to be playing at the City Winery tonight. This is not live, so you will have already played there by the time people hear it. But I certainly look forward to seeing you guys perform tonight. I got a few friends coming out, too, who need some soul music.
Yeah, very cool, very cool.
So, you grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yes, sir.
And I read that a certain John Mellencamp song got you started.
Yeah, my folks... when I was 6, they put me into a talent contest at my dad's high school where he taught. And that's a song that we all chose or whatever, I guess. So, yeah, that's the first time I sang in front of people like that, performed.
Well, it's from those humble beginnings, though, you're now touring the world. You just came back from Europe early this year. Mm-hmm. Where you also cut a live record in Belgium.
Yes.
But you continued singing in choirs throughout school too. Did
yes,
I get
sir.
that right?
Yep.
And I guess a certain teacher was instrumental in getting you to appreciate jazz and improvisation more. Can you tell me a little bit how that all went?
Yeah, I in grade school, junior high, and high school, I was always in choirs, and that was kind of my safe place, place where I felt very at home. And I was in the show choirs where you sing and dance and do the show choir thing up until my junior year of high school. And then the teacher, Tim Scherer, he heard in my voice that I had the ability to basically create on my own, had very good pitch, and was able to improvise, but hadn't really done it before, because everything else was just kind of scripted music. So, I was at that time, I didn't really understand what I was getting into, but after going into that choir and embracing jazz vocalization, it really opened a lot of other doors for me. So he heard that in my voice, which was interesting to me. I mean, I just a kid that loved to sing, and he really opened some doors for me. So,
right. Yeah,
it's I don't know, like. When you learn that you have the ability to create, that was the thing, there's a whole nother power in that. There's a whole nother experience in that, rather than just singing in the choir. He opened up that door to say, you have the ability to imagine whatever comes out of you.
Yeah, and a certain element of freedom.
Right, and expression, that I kind of craved at that time in my life, and I think I've embraced going forward. And I love to write, and just the element of improvisation is pretty important. So, yeah.
And you also started playing the sax around the same time?
Yeah, I started playing saxophone in 5th grade, and was in band all through elementary and junior high and high school. Yeah, and still I haven't picked up my horn in a while, but
Yeah. Well, you got a
should probably do
few
that.
great horn players in your band.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm pretty lucky that way.
And how does one get exposed to soul music and rhythm and blues in Lincoln, Nebraska?
I get that question a lot. You know, I after getting into jazz from that jazz choir, I dove into that genre pretty thick. You know, just going to buying albums and learning about various artists. And then there's a club there when I turned 21. Actually, when I was 19, I discovered the Zoo Bar in Lincoln, and this is a blues club that's been open for 44 years in the same location there in Lincoln. And I used to hang out in the alleyway and listen to the blues coming out through the vent in the wall. And that was a place where you had people that were bands that were traveling from Chicago to Kansas City or passing through the middle of the U.S. had nowhere to play. And Larry Beamer, the guy that opened the Zoo Bar, provided a place for them to stop in the middle of nowhere. And, man, you get to hear the best of the best traveling through our little town. And, people don't think of Lincoln as a music city, but it's got some things happening. And I think the Zoo Bar has a great deal to do with that. So.
Yeah, and you got to be a sideman with some of the, local blues people, too, like, I guess, Magic Slim and Nick Holt.
Yeah.
And Nick Holt is still doing it, isn't he?
Nick passed away.
Oh, Nick passed away now too?
He passed away before Magic did.
Okay.
But, that was, and there's another guy, there was two other guys that were local there out of Lincoln that were just killer monster players. A guy by the name of Sean Benjamin, who was probably one of the best guitarists I've ever heard. And then his keyboard player, or Jim Sidlick is the name of the guy that plays keys and sings, and he was phenomenal. Had a band called Little Jimmy Valentine and the Heart Murmurs, and out of this world. So, those guys and Nick Holt and Magic Slim, that's a good mentorship for a town called Lincoln, Nebraska, where you wouldn't think that there would be just these killer roots players, blues players. So that definitely opened my eyes to what can be done with the music, and it taught me how to really play from my heart and understand like the kind of that guttural and just supreme power of playing blues. When you really get into a song and you're able to, I don't know, kind of embody it, right? Yeah. You learn that right up close from these guys. And Nick Holt, particularly as a singer, taught me how to deliver a vocal, and I learned a lot from him. So, yeah. Yeah,
now you've been a band leader and front person for quite a while, and I read that E.C. Scott taught you quite a bit about being a band leader and run a band. How did you learn there? What are some of the lessons you learned?
EC, she just she did that all on her own. She's been independent since day one, and that's something I really admired, because this business can be extremely difficult trying to build your name if you're not on a label or if you're not on an agency or with an agency. So I just at my period of time when I was thinking maybe I can do this, that's when I got to go on the road with EC. And she carries herself with a professionalism that is unparalleled, in my opinion, and very business oriented. She has good relationships with all the club owners, and she handles it like a business, and she treats her players very well. And I don't know, there's no telling her no either. That's the thing. Like, she knows what's up, and she knows what she wants, and she works her tail off to get it. And she learned a lot from that, and what it takes to build something in this industry.
Yeah, work ethic, that's certainly.
Yeah. And she also, she always played, the songs that she plays as well. She knows what the crowd favorites are, and she plays those songs every night, and is able to really get in touch. Musically, she really reaches out to people. So that's another thing I learned, not just the business aspect, but also every night it felt like we were all together, right? It wasn't just here's the performer on stage and here's the crowd and we're separate. It was everybody was together, and she really was able to bring people in on what she's doing and made them feel like they were part of something special. So that musically as well. So
And I feel that that's come with a lot of R&B performers, that it's really about serving the audience rather than kind of just, looking inward and trying to fulfill your own whatever that might be. It's always like, these people, they came here, they paid their hard-earned money to see me perform, and it is my job to serve them.
Right.
Did you feel some of that too?
Yeah, that, and Magic Slim taught me that too. He said, this isn't about you, this is about the people in the crowd. I find it interesting though that is, that definitely is a truth. But in order to play, in my opinion, to play soul music or R&B in a way that really connects to a crowd, is that you have to be very in tune with how you're feeling, and it has to be an emotional performance every night. So you have to dive way down inside yourself as well at the same time, and you just give that to people.
Yeah,
that's what you're giving them.
From
right,
there.
right. So
you lived around Lincoln for most of your life, but you spent a short while in New Orleans too.
Mm-hmm.
How did that experience kind of inform your music?
I learned, in New Orleans, I learned that music is a way of life, and that it's something that's not extra. It's something that's at the center of life, and I think it made me understand that it's okay, that this is what I am kind of geared towards doing. My personality is just driven to be a musician, and that's okay. You're kind of, in other cities or places, you could be taught that this is just something that you could do after your day job, right?
Yeah.
Like you go to work 9 to 5, you do your thing, and then you want to go play with your buddies or whatever. And in New Orleans, you
Way
can
of
be
life.
that. You can be that, and there's a lot of people that are that, and they're not stars. They're not, it's not this unattainable thing. It's a thing that's a community-based, relationship amongst musicians in that city, and every corner of the town you experience music. So that definitely opened my eyes to realizing it's okay for me to dream this dream that I'm dreaming.
Yeah, and you had an earlier band called Electric Soul Method. What was that band like?
That was an R&B group, and it was full of killer players. Many of which have gone on to do really great things. That was R&B, soul, funk, all kind of melted together. There's a couple of young guys in the band that are now just doing great things. Nick Semrod was the keyboardist, and he's playing with Corey Henry and the Funk Apostles now, and then has done some touring with Lauryn Hill, and he's played with Bootsy Collins. Bootsy called him up and said, "Hey, can you come play some shows?" And so he's doing very well for himself. And then Luke Kellison was the bass player, and he's worked with George Clinton on a number of records. And so it was a pretty neat little group there. Our guitarist, Luke Polipnik, is a renowned jazz guitarist, and this is a little band out of Lincoln, Nebraska. So it was pretty cool. And I'd say that was probably my first shot at writing soul and R&B tunes, funk tunes. That was probably the first time I got to really write anything that was played by musicians of that caliber. I've always experimented with writing that kind of music, but I think we brought it to life at that point. So it was a good first step.
Yeah, and after the stint in that band, you did a little bit of a musical detour and did a few albums with Sons of 76.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was a little more, I guess, I don't know if singer-songwriter mentality is the right step, but it's less of a show-oriented sound.
Yeah. I wrote 3 records under the moniker Son of 76, and I'm very proud of those records. And I love the songs very much. I guess I'm interesting somewhat because I've dabbled in a lot of different styles of music. I guess being in the Midwest, you have a lot of different influences that maybe you get from record. It's not something like regional, right? So I'm not from the Bayou, and I'm not just going to play Zydeco, or I'm not just going to play Chicago blues because I'm from Chicago. I'm from the Midwest, where I've had a number of influences. So, that was more of kind of a singer-songwriter. We touched on some New Orleans music, some Americana, rock and roll, a little bit of country tinge to it too. And I love those songs a lot. But, my buddy in Lincoln, Tony, he said, man, I love to come see you guys, but every time I see you, I just want to kill myself because your songs are so depressing, man. He's like, you need to get back to playing some happy music for people. And that resonated with me. I think there's a power, obviously, in great songwriting. And one of my favorite artists right now is Jason Isbell. And just, the great stories. But for me, I think my home is more geared towards uplifting, soulful, funky music. So I got back into that groove. Yeah.
So that's what you did. You kind of, I guess, let depressing music fade away a little bit, and you started Josh Hoyer and the Shadowboxers.
Yeah.
And you made that first record, I guess, on your own too.
Yeah.
After that, you renamed the band. What was the reason why you guys renamed it?
I wish it was a more interesting story, but it's just we got a letter from a lawyer here out of Nashville saying that we had to cease and desist on the name Shadowboxers because there's a group out of Georgia called the Shadowboxers. So instead of going to court, we just said, all right, change the name. So, and it's funny enough, we came back we played a showcase in Nashville, I think 6 months after we changed the name. And there's two posters. There's our poster, and right next to it's the Shadowboxers. So it's a good thing we changed the name, I guess, so we don't confuse people as to who's who.
Yeah. And you did, the first record was called Living by the Minute under the new name.
Uh-huh.
And then the third record, you came to Nashville and do something that I highly appreciate for a lot of reasons. You went over to Welcome to 1979 and cut the whole record straight to lathe. So as live as it can be.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that experience.
That was super cool. And Chris and the guys over at Welcome to 1979, they set up a vibe in that studio that really makes you comfortable, and they're very welcoming, and they allow for great things to happen there just by their attitude and what they do, how they make you feel welcome. So we got a chance to do this, and I'd never done it before. And the first two takes, because as you do it, you have to play the whole side of the record for people that don't know. You have to play a whole side of the record, and then that's it, So we did 3 songs with a little space in between, more like a live show. But it was interesting because, I got some killer players, but I felt like we were all being way too safe, and maybe that there wasn't that emotional immediacy that you feel when you play a live show, because we didn't want to mess up or something, and didn't want it to be recorded forever and ever. There's no editing later. So it took us just a little bit to kind of get into the mindset that, hey, if it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. And that's been one element of jazz records I've always enjoyed. So it was a cool experience to just say, we are what we are. We're going to play with full heart. If we hit a wrong note, it doesn't matter. It's all about the feeling behind it and delivering the song with meaning, So it was cool.
Yeah, and actually, Jason Isbell followed in your footsteps
and
did a record there.
I'm
too.
sure he read all about us. It was like, I'm going to do what Hoyer's doing now.
But that's great. We here at Creative Workshop, we don't have the ability to cut straight to lathe, but I've done few projects going straight to 2-track, which is the same mentality.
Okay, yeah.
And I love it. I love all those old Blue Note records where that's that's what you get.
Exactly.
And a lot of other people went over to Welcome to 1979. Pete Townsend recorded some stuff there.
He was there right before us.
Okay. So that's as raw was the title of the album.
Cooked
that's
Raw. Yeah.
about as as immediate as it can be.
Yeah.
You're so much known as a live powerhouse. Have you ever felt a certain struggle to kind of capture that live feel on a record?
Yeah.
Other than, I guess, the one you did, Welcome to 1979, which is
Yeah.
the live record.
Yeah, for sure. And I think just as this band grows, we've learned what works and what doesn't work more. On the record we did with Ken Coomer, Running from Love, initially I was playing keys and singing, and then I decided, because we tried to get most of that captured live, and then we were just going to do a couple of overdubs on it, because I just really liked the energy of the live performance in the studio. But I decided to get off the keys and just sing and just focus on what I'm singing about and allow myself to have that emotion. And I think that really turned the tide for us, or at least for me. I don't know about the rest of the band, but you vibe off of each other. And I think if the lead singer has that conviction during the recording process, it can really change the vibe of the entire band, or of the recording in general. So that's worked for me so far. We'll see what happens on the next one, but I think that, I don't know, we live in an overproduced world in general. There's just so much of what you see and hear and participate in that's all forced and not actually happening. It's fabricated, and you don't know what's the truth anymore. So living in the world of soul music or roots music in general, it's good to just be what you are and let it come out.
And I feel if you don't want to or can't fit a format exactly, you're certainly better off being as unique as you can be and make that your own thing, and stand out as that, whatever that might be. And you mentioned Ken Coomer. He was drummer in Uncle Tupelo and Wilco before he started his producing career, and he's worked here at Creative Workshop a lot with different artists.
Mm-hmm.
How did you make that connection with him? How did he get to know about you guys?
Our guitarist, Benjamin Kushner, his friend, his name's escaping me now, I'm sorry, his friend was friends with Ken, and Ken was getting in touch with him about wanting to work on a band or on a project with a band that he was familiar with. Something happened with that group, and he said, but you should check out what my friend Benji's working on right now with this guy Josh Hoyer, and they're playing some soul, funk, and R&B, and he's like, you should check them out. They're a good group. And so he listened to what we did, and he gave me a call and just said, I want to make your next record. It was funny because Ken, he's like, I'm kind of pigeonholed as like this rock or Americana guy, but he's like, I know I live in Nashville, but my heart lives in Memphis. And he's like, I want to get into recording some great greasy soul, funk, and R&B records. Stax is huge to him, so he was pretty excited to have us in. And
that sounds him. I saw him here not too long ago packing up a set of drums, and he was on his way to Memphis to just play drums on a session. He was as happy as he could be.
Cool. Yep.
You work with another couple guys to go in and out the studio here, and that's John Coleman, who's a great keyboard player, and Teddy Morgan. Can you tell me a little bit about your collaboration with those two guys?
Yeah, John is actually cousins with our label owner out of Ashland, Nebraska, Charlie Hull, who owns Silver Street Records. And there's a lot of cool stuff being put out on Silver Street Records out of Nebraska. So if you're interested, please go check that out. But yeah, they're cousins, and John had seen us live a few times and really enjoyed what we're doing. And he had some, he's a songwriter, and he just said, hey, let's carve out some time to try to write a few songs, just see what happens. And so we did. We got together for 2 days and wrote 3 songs together, and it turned out pretty cool, man. We still haven't released them, but it was a great experience working with him, and then coming into the studio and being able to work with the caliber of musicians that were there for the session. It was really neat. just watching how quickly they work. And I mean, it was like we were in the studio for 3 hours and then had 3 really solid tracks. So pretty cool.
Yeah. More recently, you guys did a live record that you cut in Belgium,
Mhm.
Brussels. It's called Live Ancien Belgique.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a great example of, kind of what people see live. That's what they get.
Right.
Was that a record, did you plan on recording, or is that after the fact, said, hey, we got this good recording of a show, let's put it out?
We planned that one out. And that was, they have such a great facility there. And it's a beautiful room, and they also have in-house sound and audio and visual. So, we were like, man, we should record this. We'll see how we do performance-wise, but hopefully we can release it. It was at the end of a 26 shows in 32 days in Europe, so we were tired, and that was the last show of the tour. So, but I think we still performed pretty dang well, and it was a really great experience. Got to share the bill with a band called Delta Saints here out of Nashville, actually. So. Yeah, man, it was planned out, and I'm glad it turned out the way it did.
I got to go over to Europe with the Muscle Souls All Stars, and we got a huge response over there. What is it about Europe liking soul music? Did you experience anything any different from here, or?
Absolutely, I did. Yeah, it was night and day, and we have great nights in the U.S. Don't get me wrong. But the thing that's different is that you don't have to have a name there. If they see the style of music that they like, if they see that you play whatever, if you play country, you play blues, you play soul, R&B, funk, whatever. If there's something that those folks are interested in, they just go out to see you. And they come out, the coolest thing is that they come out and they want to have an experience. They come right up to the stage. It's not like some U.S. audiences can be pretty rough on you, man. I understand it. They sit back and they kind of, well, let's see if this dude's for real or whatever. And that's fine too. But it seemed like night after night, people they'd come out in numbers and they just want to have an experience. They want music to be that thing where we're all together and the energy is being exchanged between the crowd and the band. And I don't know, man, there's something very, I don't know what it is, man. I think marketers have got their hands pretty deep into our psyches in the U.S. and have taught us that if somebody doesn't have fame, that they're not worth something, and it's bullshit. It just is. I mean, there's so many great artists that if you just allow yourself to have an experience with them, that's where the magic's at. It doesn't matter what their name is or what their pedigree is or if you've seen them on TV or whatever. That don't matter.
Yeah.
I don't think they care about that as much in Europe.
And we, as independent artists, independent players, we always, I don't know if struggle is the wrong word, but we have to be creative on how to be able to, market our thing and to kind of, get the momentum going and build it.
Mm-hmm.
One, I say, marketing opportunity, I guess, maybe more than anything else, you tell me, but you got to participate in a season of The Voice, which obviously got your name out there, and to me that's kind of a creative way of being able to kind of be more visible, I guess.
Yeah.
How did you were able to grow maybe your fan base a little through that, or what was your takeaway from that experience?
It's a mixed bag like anything else in life. But the way that I saw the opportunity of The Voice was, it was like back in the day when they first started making 45s, right? And you could actually make your own 45 and then take it down to the radio station, and then they could play it within a 3 or 4 state area, right? And then finally you're heard and you're kind of out there and people are aware of who you. Oh, I heard that on the radio. Maybe I'll go check them out. That's kind of what the modern day version of that is now, to kind of get above the fray of everything else that's going on, get on some national TV for just a little bit. And so I think that The Voice provides a cool platform for people to do that. Just for a second, you kind of just go, hey, I'm over here. If you like what I'm doing, come check me out, right?
Yeah.
But it seems also I've met a number of people that saw the Voice performance, and then they go and check out our website, and have gone to check out other singers' original music, and they take the next step, and they want to know who you are and what it is you have to offer, and that's awesome. So that's kind of what my hope was, is that, okay, we get a chance to sing in front of millions of people on TV, and then hopefully they'll check out and see what we do, original music. That's not everybody that watches that show, though. So it's kind of interesting, because it's over sensationalized, that whole, and that's TV in general. I think the performance aspect it's all the fancy lights, and you got this massive crowd, and the stars are all there, and it's just this big deal, right? It feels like that. And so you have this over sensationalized performance for like a minute and a half. It doesn't last very long either. So, and then you go and you play someplace where people have heard of you because of the TV show, and you're sitting in a corner of a restaurant or a bar, and you're just playing a solo show. Oh my God, it's so exciting to see you because I saw you on TV. And then you're just sitting there playing your songs, which last 4 to 5 minutes for 3 hours, and it's hard to keep people's attention. I don't know. It's interesting to me. I'm not in any way complaining or whatever. I'm just saying it's just really interesting to see that, how different the television experience is, and how from just a real live setting.
How time intense was that participation for you? That's something maybe, hard.
I was out there for 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
So it was a substantial chunk of your time too.
Yeah.
And you mostly perform with your band, but you just recently completed a solo piano record too.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that project?
Yeah. In order to make ends meet, I play solo piano gigs. Mostly play covers. A lot of the music that I write, it's pretty difficult to play on piano because it's very groove oriented, and there's just a lot going on horn wise and rhythm wise and things like that. So for these solo gigs, I play a lot of cover songs and a few of my original tunes, a number of them from the old band, Sons of 76. And yeah, man, I just figured, I'd had people ask me, hey, you ever record these things? I really love to listen to you when you're just on your own. So I just went and sat down at the piano for a few hours and recorded them and put them on CD. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And
it is what it is,
I
brother.
haven't heard it, so I need to find a way to get a copy on it. Your record release party was a little too far away for me to attend.
I don't know if I have one in the van, I'll give you one.
But maybe just, when we're getting towards the end here, but
yeah.
I get to work a lot in Muscle Shoals, and probably of any body of work coming out of any area, that's my favorite music, or some of my favorite music anyway. Just anywhere between the Staples Singers Beatitude album to John Hammond to Boss Cags, and just like, that's kind of some of my favorite stuff. And obviously it's, some of the great players there.
Yeah.
Can I get a little bit of your take on like Muscle Shoals music, or some of your favorite music coming out of there?
Yeah, I mean, I just obviously Dan and Spooner are great songwriters, and being able to play with those guys at the Muscle Shoals Review, we got to open for them twice last year, and those are some of the best shows I've ever had, just because you get to watch these guys that originated a great deal of what we love to play. The thing that kind of strikes me, I think, about it is just that they're just down to earth people, very little attitude, and that they want to serve the song, and it's not, I don't know, there's just something very, very humble about their music, even though it's killer, and they've been on so many records, but yeah, man, I mean, the Aretha Franklin music is wonderful. any kind of obviously I love like Dark Into the Streets and any of the ballads that were put out. I mean, I just love the honesty that's in it and the humble origin of it. I don't know. It's not slick. It's not meant to sell anything. It's just real good music. I don't know. That's what does it for me.
Yeah. So, what's next for you guys?
What's next? We're working on a new record. So we're gonna be recording that one actually up in Omaha. There's a really cool studio up there that opened up a couple years ago. So we'll be working on a new record that'll be released first in Europe when we go back to Europe, and then we'll release that stateside, I think, either late this year or early next year. Yeah, man, I'm just working, and we got some new players in the band. That's another thing that's tough for independent musicians, where you're out there trying to work and making a few $100 here and there to keep people on the road with you in your band. So we've got some great new players, and I don't know, just looking forward to creating with them and meeting some people across the country and playing some good shows. We got some good shows lined up all over the U.S. too. So if you take a look, chances are we'll be in your area. JoshHoyer.com. Yeah, man.
Great. And
just keep following the dream, man. Keep working at it.
Well, you guys have safe travels, and hopefully it'll, just kind of what happened with, Jason Isbell too. He, started out pretty humble as a solo artist and was just able to ramp it up, each year just a little bigger and a little more. Right. So I wish all that for you guys, for sure.
Thank you.
And thank you for being my guest today. And if you don't mind, would you play us a couple, 3 songs at the end?
Yeah, sure, not a problem. Thank you, Andreas. I appreciate you, man. See if I can make this thing work. This is a song from that old band, Sons of 76.
Have you ever been somewhere that you wouldn't change a thing? Even the rats in the walls are welcome to be. There's only one place I wanna be. Take me to New Orleans. At the bottom of the world is a Mississippi Queen, where the passing of time, it don't mean a thing. There's only one place I wanna be. Take me to New Orleans. Put on that sweet perfume and meet me down Burgundy, with a bourbon and laughter. They flow easy, just like it's supposed to be. Take a walk down Frenchman Street, where the music's alive like the breeze. Remember, our love was sweet and true, just like New Orleans. I got a little bit of money and nothing to pack. Well, I hope and pray that I don't turn back. There's only one place I wanna be. Take me to New Orleans. Take me to New Orleans. See, my true love is gone forever, but I'll be fine in New Orleans. Something like that.
That's great. I haven't heard that one before.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good one. There were rats in my.
Yeah, well,
when I lived in New Orleans, when I moved in, I'm just this kid out of Nebraska living in my van, and my dog would I hooked him up to the bumper of the van at night because it was so hot. It was August. I'd have to sleep with all the windows open, so I just put him there by the bumper. He'd watch out for me. But I finally got an apartment, and one of the first couple of days I was in there using the restroom, sitting there, and I turned over to the side, and there's a hole where the sink pipe goes down into the ground, and this rat pops out and looks right at me. I'm like, oh man, not in Lincoln, Nebraska anymore. But I always like that line from that song. It brings back good memories.
that was your welcome committee.
What's that?
The rat was your welcome committee.
Yes, that's right. Welcome to New Orleans, man. Yeah, we all just try to live together, right? Maybe I'll do one. I could do another one from that time if you want.
Sure.
Because you've probably heard some of the other stuff. So maybe I'll just play a couple songs you didn't know. I can't play any of the brand new stuff. I don't want it out there yet. But
Sounds good to me.
we act like it's that important. It probably isn't. But yeah, this is a song here called Goodbye Joan.
I met you outside the bar. Our conversation was just like home. One cigarette after another, both agreeing that there had to be more. From that night on, people thought we were lovers. I guess I could have looked that way. And even though the stars never lined up just right, they still look bright from far away. Yeah, you were a good friend until you wanted too much. I should have known time would take everything away. If I waited long enough. So goodbye, Joe. I guess I won't be seeing you around anymore. I'm sorry I never found what you were looking for. Yeah, goodbye, John. I Set it up before you trap me into telling you that you're not the one. And baby, I would have never let you down if being true to you was enough. And when you said it was all or nothing, and when I had to leave you at your door, and I'm gonna miss coming in to talk a while, but I found a new friend, I'm sure. So goodbye, Joe. I guess I won't be seeing you around here anymore. Sorry, never found what you were looking for. Yeah, goodbye, Joe. Yeah, goodbye, Joe. Won't be seeing you around here anymore. Sorry, never found what you were looking for. But goodbye, Joan. I'm gonna miss you, Joan. But goodbye, Joan. All right. Yeah?
That's great.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You bet. That's my pleasure, man.
This was the 18th episode of the Crazy Chester Radio Hour. We taped it at Buzz Cason's Creative Workshop recording studio in Nashville. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. Until next week.